with the holiday season in full swing and more South Africans heading to the coast, beach safety has never been more important. So from the rip currents to emergency responses, knowing how to stay safe in and around those areas can obviously save lives. Let's speak to Andrew Ingram now, who's the communications manager at the National Sea Rescue Institute, about key safety tips that every beach goer should know, especially during this time. Andrew, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We appreciate your time. So we're into that peak summer season. Everyone is enjoying themselves. What are some of the most common safety risks you've noticed along South African beaches this year? And are there any particular trends or patterns that the public should be aware of?
Good morning, Griselda. Thank you for inviting me on your show. Yes, so we did send out a spring tide warning. The reason for that is that the low tide will be lower than usual and the high tide higher than usual, which means that there's a greater flow of water between those two periods. This has impact on beaches that don't have a lot of space. So, for example, in Cape Town's False Bay, Boulders Beach, which is very popular this afternoon, there'll be not much sand. And for those beaches that have rip currents, there's a good chance that those rip currents will be stronger. So that's why we say please choose a beach where lifeguards are on duty and swim between their flags. It's also worth taking note of rip tides. So that would affect narrow inlets, like, for example, the Knysna Heads, where the tidal flow will be stronger than usual. And then very importantly, coastal hiking hazards. So people who are walking on coastal paths and coastal trails, this afternoon, high tide is around 3:30. The tide will be higher than usual, and some of those trails might be difficult to navigate. So it's really important, if you're going to be out and about, to take note of weather warnings and to make sure that you check your weather apps and tide apps before you choose where you're going to go and what time you're going to go there. Also for fishermen, those who choose to go rock fishing, it's a wonderful thing to do. But if you're not really aware of your situation and you don't know a place well, please ask the locals how high the spring tide will come, because you might find yourself cut off.
Yeah, and I mean, Andrew, you just spoke about the rip currents, and highlighted what a danger that can be. Just explain to some that may not understand exactly what rip currents are, and how swimmers can identify them.
Yeah, that's a very good question, Griselda. Thank you. So rip currents are definitely the most dangerous thing that visitors to a beach will face. And that is why we say repeatedly, please choose a beach where lifeguards are on duty and swim between the flags, because most people find them very difficult to see. So what a rip current is, perhaps if you picture a river of water that flows away from the beach, that is really what it is. Waves come in up onto the beach, another wave comes behind it, another wave comes behind it, and then that water needs to get back out to the ocean. So the water looks for a place where it can flow out. It erodes sand out from underneath it, and you have literally a river of water flowing out to sea. So that where the rip current is will often look to many people to be calmer than the sandbank on either side, where waves might be breaking. It will be a darker color. So for the uninitiated, people, they might choose to actually go into that place because it looks calmer than where the waves are breaking on the sandbank, and that's a dangerous thing to do. So really, the thing to do is to choose a beach where lifeguards are on duty, ask for their advice and swim between the flags. That way you'll be safe.
Yeah, I was just about to ask about the lifeguards. But anyway, Andrew, I mean, emergencies can happen very quickly, in and around the water. So, I mean, walk us through, steps someone should take if they encounter an emergency, and, how best it would be to contact for help for people who can actually assist, because you'd find in those particular areas, someone might not be able to swim. Yes, there are lifeguards, but if you find yourself in a precarious situation, what would be the best way to respond? I know every situation is different, but let's choose the most common one.
Well, yeah, Casella, so at this time of the year, the beaches are absolutely packed. There's thousands and thousands of people enjoying our coastline. So it might be difficult or impossible for some people to get to a beach where lifeguards are on duty, and that's where the danger comes in. So I think that it's really important to have the awareness that if you are unable to do that, you are opening yourself to considerable danger. And so you need to choose very carefully where you're going to go into the water and how far you're going to go in. If you're in very shallow water, obviously it's safer, and to be situationally aware. So you keep looking back onto the beach to see that you're not being pulled to one side or the other or away from the beach. And I think for somebody who gets into difficulty and is being pulled away from the shore in a rip current, the most important thing is not to panic. And that's really easy to say, and it's not so easy to do. So you have to absolutely concentrate. Raise your arm so that people know that you're asking for help. Flip onto your back, float. And for those who see somebody in difficulty, the national emergency number is 112. You can dial that as a free call from your mobile phone for any of the emergency services. And then the most useful thing that you can do is to try and get something that floats to the person in difficulty. So around the coast, the NSRI has our pink rescue buoys, but it could be a surfboard, it could be a bodyboard, anything that floats to keep that person's head above water, and that they don't become exhausted fighting a current. So for the person in the current, if you think of it as a river of water flowing away from the beach, swim at 90 degrees to the way you're being pulled. So if you fall into a river, to get out, you're not going to swim upstream or downstream. You're going to swim to the left or right to get out of it. For the person trying to help, get flotation to that person in difficulty, call 112 for help.
And Andrew, I mean, families with young children, often go to the beach with their loved ones, including their children. I mean, there's got to be some specific safety precautions that, parents and guardians take to ensure that their children can enjoy the beach without, unnecessary risk. You'll find that while the parents sit on the sand, the kids will be playing in the water. So it's important to be quite vigilant, especially when the beach is packed.
Absolutely, Griselda. So I think that perhaps rule number one is don't to drink alcohol and then go into the water. And by the same token, please don't drink alcohol and look after your children. If you're going to drink alcohol, then get another responsible adult to watch the children. And it's really important to understand that drowning is silent. So in the movies, you see people flapping their arms around, hitting the water and shouting, "Help, help, I'm drowning." That's not how it happens. Somebody who's drowning will be in a vertical position in the water, so they'll look like they're climbing a ladder, but you'll just see their head above the water. Their head will be tilted back because they're trying to breathe in, and there'll be a panicked expression in their eyes. They'll be completely silent. And that's why we say, parents, caregivers, please, if your young children are in the water, be an arm's length away from them, and always watch your children when they're close to the water or in the water. And for those adults who are going into the water, buddy up. Don't go in alone. Even if there's a lot of people around you, it's really important that you go in with a friend so that you can look after each other. Don't go in too deep. Make sure that you're looking after each other, and let's keep each other safe through this absolutely wonderful time of the year.
And Andrew, it's not just the beaches, hey? It is the dams and rivers that you will find in other areas where young children and even adults would be wanting to enjoy themselves in. So safety precautions there as well. I mean, it's equally dangerous.
Griselda, probably more so. So in South Africa, most of our drownings happen in inland waters. So that's dams and rivers. And it's kind of logical if you think about it. There's so many millions of people who are unable to go to the coast. and it's hot, so you look for the closest place that you can cool off. The same rules apply. Please don't drink alcohol and go into the water. Look after your children, watch them when they're close to the water. And it's also remember that dams and rivers are not a flat bottom like a swimming pool. So you could find yourself out of your depth very quickly if you can't see the bottom. So I think it's such a wonderful time of the year to be together with your family and to have fun. And it's important to let your hair down and relax, but at the same time, keep safety top of mind. Think about what if. Is it possible that you'll suddenly get yourself out of your depth? If that happens, how will you react?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess this would be a good time to speak about how the NSRI, goes about with some of its programs on educating people about water safety. And I think more so as we are within the festive season, or as we head towards the festive season, so that people understand that, water's good to be in. It's wonderful during this time, but things can go wrong very quickly.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the point. And I think it kind of goes with the season that we're happy, we're relaxed, and we're going to do wonderful things around water with our families. But as you say, things change very, very quickly. So we have a large team of volunteers and in fact paid staff who teach water safety lessons, particularly aiming at disadvantaged schools where it's highly unlikely that these lessons would be taught otherwise, and very, very basic water safety that's so important to understand. For example, how to help somebody in difficulty, the danger of offering somebody your hand to pull them out of the water, like rather use a stick or something that if that person is panicking, they're not going to drown you as well. How to give somebody something that floats. And then we have absolutely a wonderful group of people who teach what we call survival swimming lessons. So they're really short lessons that teach 4 basic skills to people, again, focusing on children. But the oldest person that I know we've taught is 83 years old. And what we teach is how to orientate yourself. So when you're suddenly in the water, you can open your eyes and you can see which way to move to safety, how to control your breathing so that you don't suddenly breathe in water, so how to hold your breath. And then so importantly, how to float. And it's not a hard thing to do, but you need to be taught the basics on how to do that, that your lungs are like a soccer ball. When you fill them with air, it'll help you to float. And then just how to move 5 meters through the water back to safety. So with the basic water safety lessons and with basic water survival swimming skills, we can have a water safe nation.
Andrew, thank you so much. That was really, really insightful. And I think many people will take some tips off that as they head to the beach. We're expecting the roads to be incredibly busy from today, just ahead of Christmas. Andrew, thank you very much. And it's a very busy season for you. So Merry Christmas to you and others as well.